Somebody needs to welcome us in.
Welcome into the Pirate Basketball Overtime on the Sports Objective. Unfortunately, and we were not able to do this show about 21 hours ago. A variety of things happened, but nonetheless, excited to be talking Pirate hoops right now. Unfortunately, East Carolina suffered a 60-56 loss, as you see there on the screen if you're viewing live on Facebook and YouTube. But the Pirates, despite playing so poorly, still battled to the end and gave themselves a chance to win. But without any further ado, welcome in my co-host Dave Richmond and Kyle Barber. And guys, how are you?
Doing well, Bubba, here on this Sunday afternoon after a Pirate loss where we were shorthanded, and then our best player had his worst game maybe as a Pirate, and just did not play well, and still had every opportunity to win the game. We are so much better than Tulane. 21 turnovers, didn't have one of our best players. Our best player didn't score, and still only lost by 4.
Well, one of the things we got to do, guys, is to get Jaden Gardner. They figured out that load post where you pass it in. I was talking to Bubba. I mean, he's got to move around better. And even though they were fouling the crap out of him, and that was their game plan, he's got to find a way to definitely, make that happen. They're not always going to give him the calls when it comes to officiating. And it was terrible for the fact that how many, Bubba, was it 7 free throws? 7 attempts is all we had yesterday. That's ridiculous. So
yeah, we shot 7 free throws and we were 6 out of 7. But Tulane, who shot free throws very poorly when we played in Greenville back on December 22nd, I think they were right around 60% in that game and on quite a considerable number of attempts. And yesterday we're 20 out of 23. I think 86 or 87%.
Yeah, the irritating part to me was Bubba and I talked about it last night is we had some serious momentum. We lose momentum when the kids go home for Christmas. Yep. We miss a game with Wichita State. We come out and play like crap against Tulane. Still should have won it. And now you got South Florida coming up next, who is a winnable ball game in Greenville. And then Cincinnati maybe has their worst team up to this point in modern history. And, we realistically can win both those games. Now we still can. It'll still be a big deal. And we would still be 9-2. But we realistically, had we been able to find a way to win that one yesterday, had a chance to get on a real hot streak. And could you imagine had we won yesterday, then beat South Florida and Cincy, and had been 10-1? Now I still think there'll be a lot of buzz if we can get 9-2. But it's just frustrating when you know you're the better team. You play as bad as you possibly can, and you still only lose by 4. It shows you how much better we were than Tulane.
And the fact that Bubba and I were talking about, Kyle, the fact that one of the things that drives me crazy is I love to see that dribble drive and that penetration. And yesterday there was a lot of times when there was 3-point shooting and there was jump shots. And that's what kept Tulane ahead of us, is the very fact that we need to find other ways to there was times when I was mentioning above a pre-show where we created space, and then we had a guy to pop in the lane, and we passed it to him, and then they have a high percentage shot. Those kind of things were working. That was working from time to time yesterday, but we got to be more creative and find ways. And Gardner's got to realize that there was 6 turnovers early, Bubba.
We turned the ball over 6 times in the first 3.5 minutes. It was very apparent that we had not played and not practiced a whole lot in a week and a half. And the practice that we had been able to get in, a lot of it was individual stuff. And part of that was by design, and part of it was because of Tristan Newton testing positive for COVID. Of course, he missed yesterday's game due to COVID protocols, and will hopefully be back on January 9th, next Saturday, when the Pirates play USF at Minges. But it was very apparent that we had not played much basketball in the last 10 or 11 days. Dave, you and I were talking about some things while we were sorting out our technical issues on pre-show. And I remember there was a time where J.J. Miles shot faked and took the ball to the basket and then rifled a pass that about took Charles Coleman's head off. There was another time where we got a defensive rebound and went to make an outlet pass to an outlet that was not there, and just stuff like that. I know Coach Dooley and the coaching staff were pulling their hair out.
No doubt about it. And again, Kyle, you made the great point that, there's no question we're better than Tulane. In fact, guys, I was going to compliment them. They they look like Tulane with the transfers that they had. They've got talent on the team, but they look like where we were last year. And we're in, a new year in 21 and the third season under Dooley, and you can start to see they were finally righting the ship. And I wonder if the ship's ever been righted, really. They've been on the right course for as far as the basketball program as a whole. But it is good to see that we still made a game of it, even though we played terrible. We're going to have to find ways to be creative, like I said, for the space down low. And then, with J.J. Miles, I mean, he only, what was above from 3-point land, 1 out of 8. So,
yeah, JJ was 1 out of 8. He finished with 11 points. He did a nice job taking the ball to the basket, and I'm sure that may have been part of his thought process there when he passed up an open 3 and was taking it to the basket. But I think it was probably more a product of just not having played to amount to anything in 10 or 11 days.
Yeah, what do you guys think of playing? You mentioned not playing 10 or 11 days. We're going to play one game here in about 18 to 20 days. I wish we could. I know you want to get Newton back, and you want to get Brandon healthy, but I wish there was somebody we could play midweek non-conference. Just I don't know anybody.
Yeah, definitely will make a big difference. One thing though, Bubba, I was going to mention is a picture to you is the very fact of when you have the guys not healthy. I mean, Brandon Suggs with the hamstring, then and then you have another great player like Newton. And I know we talked about right before you made that great point. He brings a lot to the table, and when you don't have him, I mean, what a stud from the great state of Texas. And we're going to get Justice coming in a couple of years, but the very fact that that showed how much we missed him yesterday. You have J.J. Miles not having his best performance. You look at then Jaden Gardner only having 5 points. So, and then having 7 free throw attempts. No excuses. Those are just things that really add up,
Yeah, no doubt. Like you said, as far as Tristan Newton, not only does he average 9 or 10 points a game, and he really hasn't hit his stride offensively yet and played the way that he can play, like we saw a year ago. But Tristan Newton at 6'5", he impacts the game in so many ways, distributing the ball, and then obviously with his length on the defensive end.
One of the best, additions to the team. And Dooley's been able to get Roccaforte and all these guys are recruiting, and we're doing so well. So, Bubba, do you want to put up the stats of the game?
Yeah, in just one moment, and we'll put that up on the screen. We'll start off, just some of the things that we've already discussed. We have not mentioned this. Tulane snapped a 6-game skid in the series yesterday. And then we talked about the turnover problems. 21, definitely a season high, far and away. I think we had 18 in the overtime victory over UNC Wilmington, and those are the only 2 times that we've committed over 14 turnovers this season. We talked about Tristan Newton missing the game due to COVID-19 protocols, and then Jaden Gardner had a career low, tying a career low from the end of his freshman season when he only scored 5 points out at Wichita State. Taking a look at the team numbers, we talked about the free throws and how how Tulane made 13 more than the Pirates attempted yesterday. And then also the 3-point shot, Brandon Suggs knocking down 4 threes. And we'll talk more about Brandon here in a minute, how he played the second half with a strained left hamstring, it appeared, and was one-dimensional. But he battled through it and kept us in the game. And then also Batumba Broody knocked down 3 threes. And so those 2 guys, those 10 3-point makes really kept us in the game and gave us a chance to win despite playing so poorly.
Yeah, I remember he had early in the second half, Bubba, he had 4. He was 4 for 4 from the floors. The 3-point line. So I don't, with him, with Brandon there, as you see on the screen, 14 points, 8 rebounds, and there you go, 4 out of 5 from 3-point land. So he was hot. And how about Broody had a decent game too. He's really come on. And one of the guys that I want to ask both of you guys. one of the guys for me that is seeming to get himself together. I thought Pig yesterday, again, he had some moments yesterday, and maybe I don't know if it's I think coaches talked about confidence, but Tyree Pig Jackson is a guy that we really need to have more from him.
Yeah, no doubt. Pig needs to be able to bring a little bit more to the table offensively. I mean, he really takes it to the hole well, but need to see some perimeter shots fall for Pig. And, when I had those numbers up there a moment ago for the people that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, as far as Tulane is concerned, and you saw Forbes and Watson had 20 and 13 respectively. And that was the thing with that game yesterday. The Pirates never led, and the only tie was at 2 there in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game. We were consistently, we never trailed by double figures, though. It was always fluctuating between 1 and 2 and 6 and back down to 2, up to 8, back down to 1. But I would love to know the number of possessions that we had where we trailed by 1 to 3 points and had the opportunity to either take the lead or tie the game, and we're unable to do so.
No question about it. It's that was the frustrating part. I just, the good thing I was going to tell you guys, and I forgot at the beginning of the show, is yesterday. How about you guys? In the past, when they would get a little behind and they were not having their best day, I would be like, "Here we go again," But yesterday, I just kept feeling like we were going to win the game. Did you guys feel that way? I mean, I knew we were playing poorly, but it just felt like we were fighting and we were so close. I was like, it's going to be maybe a bucket or two. We're going to win by 2 or 3, maybe 4 points.
I thought at some point Jaden would start hitting some shots and get hot, and that would be the difference, and we'd end up winning it by 3 or 4 points, and it just never happened.
Yeah, on one hand, you were kind of wondering, and on the other hand, with the way some of I know Dave, you thought there maybe should have been some fouls whistled in our favor that weren't, but all in all, I thought the officiating was pretty good, and I can see why the ones that they did miss stuck out because it was such a close game. But on the whole, with some of the things like a couple charges that went our way and different things, maybe a ball that went out of bounds off us, but it went our way instead of Tulane's. And Coach Ron Hunter was pretty frustrated a time or two. I thought, hey, we're going to find a way to win this game despite playing so poorly, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, and one of the things that shows is that even on a worst day, we're still going to be competitive, and it shows that we had that break from Christmas and then all the issues with COVID. So the question is, we can't do anything about this Tulane game. Now we got to focus on South Florida. And Kyle, you made a great point. Can we put Johnny Gardner's comment up? He was talking about you made the great point about something I thought about yesterday. I wish we had another game. He says, I agree. I think we have one more non-conference game still left to play with. And that's correct, Johnny, because we didn't get the Belmont Abbey game. The second was going to be the second game of the year, and we didn't. So that gives us one more game to play around with. But yeah, you could argue it, I guess, Kyle, both ways. But I certainly agree with you. And when you have South Florida at home, it'd be nice to have if we could find a way to get another home game, right, Bubba?
Yeah, you'd certainly hope that in any case, but especially with it looking like Kyle and I were glancing down the schedule, trying to see, hey, when can we make up that Wichita State game? And comparing the two schedules, we really don't see a time that's going to be able to take place prior to the second meeting, which was supposed to be in Greenville, but it's looking like the Pirates may have to play 2 out at Wichita in the latter part of February.
Yeah, so we're going to lose another home game. So if we could get somebody in there Wednesday night, Tuesday night, it's obviously it would have to be a very fast turnaround. I don't know who's available, even if they're not D1. It would, I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah, I wonder if I have not checked, but somebody, a Barton or Chawan or somebody like that. I don't know if they're playing, and then also if they're playing, if they're available.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the team I wish we could get, but obviously they probably already played all their non-conference games, so the moot point is somebody like Campbell. We always,
yeah, of course. I mean, that would be
Oh yeah,
right,
you'd love to get a D1 game,
but probably that's probably out of the question. But that's the game that stuck out to me when I was thinking about it yesterday is Campbell. But it could be. I really don't care who it is. I just want another game. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm stuck on Campbell. It's just that's the game that, as far as the distance to get them there and the quick turnaround, like you guys were talking about, what came to mind. So hopefully, the one good thing about it, we got to shake it off, and maybe this is a blessing. And the other thing Kyle was thinking about is maybe this gives us an opportunity to go back to the drawing board, so to speak, and get some practicing in and get the guys back in the groove, so to speak, and then we'll be ready for the game on Saturday if they can't find a game.
Well, and we don't even know that they're searching for a game. This is just us speculating, but
right.
Yeah, you got to practice hard this week. You gotta get back in. Obviously Saturday helped, but they got to get back in playing shape. But I don't know. It's that's a no brainer. You got to practice hard this week and get ready for South Florida. But maybe that's something we can ask. We can ask somebody about out there in Pirate Land, some of our contacts, if there's any talk about trying to line something up for Tuesday or Wednesday night. I guess we really don't have to ask, because if we don't hear anything by tomorrow, then that answer is no.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And thank you, Johnny. He said logos, laughing out loud, love it. The guys, that's a pre-show thing they were doing. Kyle started with a Cheez-It, and then Bubba had to do with the Chick-fil-A, and I'm bland and vanilla, so I just have my normal avatar up. So, but anyway,
Dave, you do get why we're doing this, right?
You're hungry?
All right. Well, Bubba, that makes it even better that Dave doesn't
Kyle,
get it.
I knew Johnny would get it.
Johnny gets it. Dave doesn't. That makes it even better.
And Johnny Gardner chimed in with that as literally 20 or 30 seconds into the show.
And Dave doesn't get it, so that makes it even better.
No, I think Chick-fil-A and Cheez-It. I mean,
they don't have anything in common, do they?
Nope.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Hey,
but Dave, go back and listen to a couple shows ago and pay attention to yourself, and you'll get it.
Okay. All right.
Hey, but guys, taking a look at some of the other games around the American, because I know one of you referenced, I think is you, Kyle, talking about Cincinnati and what a poor start the Bearcats are off to, 0-3 in conference play, and they've lost 5 straight and fell at home last night to Tulsa, who's really hot. Tulsa just defeated number 5 Houston at home, and they had also picked up a road win at Memphis. So Frank Hayes Ball Club is playing very well, and so Tulsa is obviously proving that they're a team to be reckoned with this year. And another team to be reckoned with at the top of the league is, and this is not surprising at all, is SMU. And SMU faces the Cougars as they look to bounce back tonight.
Yeah, the teams down there in the southwestern part of our conference seem to be leading the thing. I'll tell you what, this is year 2 for the guy at Cincinnati. Where did they hire him from?
He came over from Northern Kentucky, John Brennan.
Okay. Ron Brennan. There was a country singer named John Brennan from Northern Kentucky. Cannot be the
John
same guy.
Brandon, I believe I mispronounced that. But yes, he came over from Northern Kentucky. He done an excellent job at NKU.
I'll tell you what, they ain't going to put up with too much of that at Cincinnati. He'll be on the short leash going into next year if they don't turn it around this year.
Yeah, they've always had a big time program and certainly been one of the leaders of this league. And but you know what? This is our time. This is our time to, like you said, Cal, from earlier in the show, with the very fact of with Cincinnati, and you have Temple in the mix. They're certainly down. So, we've been down for a long time in East Carolina with basketball. And now is the time for us to shine. We can't worry about what everybody else is doing, and we know the teams that we have to beat. The ones that we're worried about would be the SMUs, the Houstons of the world for sure, and Memphis. So
yeah, and that's why it's so irritating to me that we lost to Tulane yesterday. Is because you're only the only loss in the league thus far was the SMU, and they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. and we were very competitive with them. It got out of hand towards the end. So it's really frustrating to me that we lost that game yesterday. But you know what? Move on, win the next two. Go take care of business against South Florida and take care of business against Cincy. And believe you me, the casual fan, look, if they see a W over Cincinnati, it still sounds good. It still sounds sexy. So let's hope we can get back rolling and be competitive in this conference. I really believe that we can finish as high as it would take some things, but fifth or sixth. Just think about that.
That's where that loss yesterday, like you're saying, really kicks our butt.
Exactly.
Depending on what we do from here on. But some other results. I know, Kyle, you and I talked about this one. I was able to watch the end of it. Obviously, everybody's in conference play now for the most part, but Wichita State, I think this was a game that was originally on the schedule and not an add-on, but Wichita State went to Oxford and beat Ole Miss 83-79.
Yeah, good win for the league. Good win for the Shockers. They appear to be very up and down this year, which kind of makes sense because they're a talented basketball team, but dealing with some situations there with an interim head coach. So it makes some sense that they would be up and down. Probably win some games that you wouldn't think they would and lose some games that you wouldn't think they would. But good win for the conference. Anytime you can go beat an SEC team on the road, it's good for the league. By the way, not non-related here, but I wanted to bring this up before we forget. If you guys, any guys who are members of the Pirates Cove, our Facebook page, our message board there, go join the Pirates Cove. But my buddy James posted a picture of Matt Campbell and Bubba side by side, and never realized how much Bubba looks like Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell.
I bet Bubba wants Matt Campbell's money, right, Bubba?
Oh, of course. Then that would be nice. I immediately responded as soon as James posted that and said, "No, I was pulling for Louisiana."
Yeah, but there is a definite resemblance between you two. But I had not noticed that until James posted it.
Another team that we've discussed, because it's the next team up for the Pirates unless we add someone this week, and that's USF next Saturday. I believe is that a 1:00 game? I think it is, and we'll put that up on the screen for you in a minute. But USF, they picked up a big road win. The I-4 or the war on I-4, or in that battle between those two rivals. USF won last night against UCF, who is playing extremely well. And USF had also beaten Cincinnati, and they've beaten some other very competitive teams. So the Pirates will really have to have their A game on Saturday to get back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, and that's one that the Pirates can win it. If they can win the next two, to me, you go on the road. You got to take care of business at home. We need to win the South Florida game. But after that, even though Cincy's struggling, to me, if you can go on the road and win that one, that kind of makes up for that Tulane loss. But first things first, you got to take care of business at home against a good South Florida team.
And this South Florida team, they had David Collins back, and a guy that you definitely have to point out that they really missed a season ago is Alexis Yetna. Alexis Yetna was a stud the previous season, missed last year with an injury. So it's good to see him back for his sake, but he's certainly a force to be reckoned with on the interior.
Yeah, we do have some size that we should be able to defend. That's one thing up to this point that our defense. I think defensively we can hang with just about anybody, no matter how good their offense is. It's sometimes on the offensive end we struggle, but so far I haven't seen anybody that we can't at least keep in check.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, you were talking about the USF game is 1:00, Bubba, and then Cincinnati. Here's another thing, Kyle. We have coming up on the 16th, a week from Saturday, will be Temple in Greenville. So that's another winnable.
Maybe. I think they played like 3 games.
Yeah, Temple. had to postpone their game with Memphis yesterday. I believe that was supposed to be out at the FedEx Forum, but nonetheless, they had to postpone that one. And like Kyle said, I believe Temple's 1-2 so far.
Yeah, that's insane. You only got so many players on a basketball team. Maybe it hadn't all been their fault. Like I said, and then they wouldn't let them postpone any football games. You remember my hot take yesterday, Bubba, about their athletic director. But strange things going on in Philadelphia over the last few months. And they have about half their football team transferring out. I don't know what the hell's going on up there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's the team that, as we've seen, that we've struggled with over the years, and now with that very fact that they kept playing and playing and playing, But hey, we'll take the win like we had there, and if we can play them, we'll take the win and hoops for sure. And there's the good thing is, like you're saying, Kyle, there's a nice little run here where we have games that we can win, games we should win, and then you have games that like with the SMUs of the world and the Houstons of the world and maybe Memphis in there that maybe we could steal a couple of those.
Yeah. I mean, you got to play these games as they come up on your schedule, but it's a definite. Like I said, that's what's so frustrating to me about the Tulane loss today is that we could have really gotten on a run here and got some people's attention, and I think we still can do that. It's just one loss. But the guys got to get back in stride. They got to get back in rhythm. I understood, and because I'm not blaming Coach Dooley at all, I understood why he let the boys go home for Christmas. They've been here since the summer, haven't been around their family, but kind of saw this coming where there'd be some COVID issues, and really they were limited. But I wish we could play a game midweek. I know I'm getting repetitive here, but we need to get back in rhythm.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice. And the game, you can't practice game speed, no question about it. And now, especially since we're now in conference play, it'll be nice to get us more back up to speed. So by the time we play at USF on Saturday, that will be fantastic. We're having a lot of fun with you guys today, obviously, and the unofficial podcast of the Pirates. Guys, do you have any final thoughts before we go?
Be interested to see if we do add anybody this week, or if we're the only ones talking about that. If it's even something that's being looked at. If not, then looking forward to seeing us play the Bulls Saturday. And I want to congratulate Texas A&M on beating the Pool Tar Heels last night, and good on the Aggies, and also a nice win by the Kentucky Wildcats over the Wolfpack. So just wanted to point those two things out.
How about the ACC 0-6? How about that? And bowl games, and I think the American's not much better, 1-5. So
yeah, you know what? But people will want to talk about how the Americans struggled in bowls, and the ACC, you're right, struggled even worse. And Cincinnati had Georgia beat. Unfortunately, some play calls and some other things, a turnover earlier in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here, and I say we, I mean the league would be sitting here with a nice win in the Peach Bowl. But it is what it is, and but you're right. The ACC struggled mightily this bowl season, and it doesn't hurt my feelings any. And I believe the only win the American had was over Florida Atlantic in the Montgomery Bowl, which was technically the Fenway Park Bowl moved to Montgomery.
That's right. All right, it'll be a fun week. We'll see how Coach Dooley and the team responds. I'm sure they'll be working really hard. Next game will be on ESPN Plus Saturday at 1:00, and of course, our good friends at the Pirate IMG Learfield College Network, they will be on the air at 12:30 with Jeff Charles and Cy Seymour. David Horn twisting the dials. Until next time, Bubba, Kyle, hope you guys have a great Sunday after the rest of your weekend, and we'll be talking to you soon right here on the Sports Objective. Go Pirates!